Jeremy, what's up? It's Jeremy Knight, big time Austin Realtor. Everyone probably seen him on YouTube. I used to see him on YouTube when I was actually in Canada, which was cool. When I was doing my research on realtors out here. So congratulations on your success in social media, and then
Thanks,
obviously your success in real estate. How long have you been doing this shit for now?
Yeah, so I've been selling real estate here in Austin for a little over 8 years. I got my broker's license in California before I moved in 2012, but I didn't sell any real estate in California. Just at the time, I was able to get a broker's license, so I did. And then I looked around. I was like, man, it kind of sucks to grow a company in California. So we moved to Austin pretty much right after that.
Cool. What was the reasons why it sucked in California besides taxes?
Taxes, primarily. I mean, they just make it really hard for business owners. Austin's starting to make it really hard for business owners as well.
Yeah, how so?
Small. Well, they keep passing ordinances and they keep increasing property taxes on business owners, on just everybody. So it's getting pretty ridiculous, really, in the Austin area as far as what they're doing with the taxes. But
got it. Understandable. Coming from Canada, we pay high taxes there. So coming here, where we do have high property taxes as well, where I'm from, but I did notice the property taxes here are kind of outrageous, depending on which area you live in.
Yeah, and it's tough because the way they do the property taxes here is very misleading. A prime example, like with one of my properties, they overvalued it by $100,000, and I showed them all of the comps that showed why it should be $100,000 less, and they basically go, "Oh, well, it doesn't fit our model." Well, I don't care what your model says. You're telling me that the market value of my home is $580 when I could barely get $425 for right now. Like, how is that even possible? Yeah. And they go, well, that's the way our model looks at it. And you look at it, and these comps are not even in the neighborhood. And then you give them comps, they go, well, that's outside of our purview. We don't look at those comps.
Got it.
You're lying to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So. I think that goes with everywhere too. I guess when the market obviously zoomed up, the city took advantage of it.
Right.
When the market comes down, the city still takes advantage of it, right?
Yeah.
It happened back home, and I've got multiple rental properties there, and I'm doing the same. I should probably fight it, but at this point, it's just pay that for myself. I'll just pay it, not deal with it, right? But yeah, it's definitely day and night coming from Canada when it comes to Austin, but I can see that same thing coming from California. When it comes to the broker's license, how many years of real estate do you have to be to get your broker's license?
So it's different by state, but here in Texas, you have to have, I believe it's 2 or 4 years of production.
Got it.
And then you have to go through the whole process. I want to say it's 4 years.
Why did you get a broker's license?
Because I could.
Just because you could?
Yeah. Well, in California, here, my wife is our licensed broker for my team. Okay. And we only did that just because of how you get paid through LLCs here in Texas, right? So you can't get paid. Your broker can't pay your LLC unless you are yourself a broker.
Got it.
Right. And so in order to get paid through our LLC, we needed to make sure that we had a licensed broker on file for our team.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah. So I can't myself, since I just got my green card, getting my license right away, I can't get paid on my LLC. That's what you're saying.
Technically, no. Okay. Now, I've been at quite a few brokerages, and it's more of a trek with Texas Real Estate Commission rule that I haven't seen them enforce.
Okay.
So, but it was more of a peace of mind versus if this is the year they decide to really enforce this rule,
right?
Then we're prepared.
Interesting. So right now, you're obviously at the broker reel, which I'm at as well in Canada. And, I joined it about 3-4 weeks ago. I went to the meeting here a couple of weeks ago with you guys and crazy vibe, awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, it's fun.
Were you originally, before joining Real, were you planning to kind of build out the same thing too, where with other agents when you got your broker's license? Was that your idea?
Yeah, I mean, we've been very lucky. Well, worked very hard, I guess, more than luck, to be in the position we're at, where we need team members and to grow our team. What I found is that managing team members and having to buy space and all that was more than I really cared to take on. So the advantage of being at a brokerage similar to Real Broker or Real Broker is that I can bring on agents in my downline, frontline that we can do more referral business with.
Right.
And then I don't actually have to manage them.
Got it.
I can let them do their own thing if they're going to go out and produce. Whereas if I'm on my team, like you have to bring in production. But the other way, I can just refer out and ask a higher fee because I'm sending you more deals.
How is your team structure set up right now?
Yeah, so we're a husband and wife team. I have a showing assistant. So pretty much she just runs around, shows all of our properties. My wife manages the contracts as far as like, writing the offer, putting together, negotiating. We have a TC, so a contract coordinator, and then we have a VA that helps me with getting all my content out. Awesome. And then I have a videographer.
Awesome. Right now, in regards to besides YouTube, which you've been dominating, and social media, are you doing any other type of marketing to generate business?
I mean, Instagram primarily, okay. But as far as like paid advertising, no, cool. I pay zero in paid advertising. Awesome. And that's, when people ask me about YouTube and why I got into YouTube was a simple fact that YouTube wants to generate your audience for you because YouTube wants people to watch. Like the longer you keep an audience on your channel, the more YouTube's going to try to find out like more people like that. Yeah. And so if I know that I want my audience to be X, right? I can build content around X and create that audience. Right. And so it costs me the time, energy, a lot of for 8-10 months, I was editing everything myself. Mm-hmm. So now I have an editor. So if you take that cost, it cost me to manage the channel probably $4,000 a month to manage the channel. YouTube pays me, I can do ad revenue. So I pay $4,000 a month, but I'm paying for videos that I put across, not just YouTube, right. Instagram, Shorts, all the other good stuff. Awesome. So that gets me business. And then a lot of that stuff I can then take and put on my Google business profile. So, there's just so many ways to take that content and repurpose it. I put it into blogs for my website. I turn around and take that, and then I put out monthly mailers to my database. Right. So there's just so many things you can do with it. So, but the reality is on the back end, I'm creating free business, right? Yeah, I paid for the videos. Yeah, I paid for that. I could have just sent $4,000 worth of mailers out a month, right? So that's another way you can do it. But what I found is that when you send out mailers, when you send out and you pay for stuff, you don't actually have the ability to touch someone the way you would through video, because absolutely. I can then articulate, I can say, okay, here's what's happening. Here's why this neighborhood might be good. Here's what this new rule might mean for you, and actually break it down. So what you're doing, as long as you're being honest, and that's the thing, is like I see a lot of agents try to do this YouTube thing and they're not honest. Not because they're trying to be dishonest, but they're trying to get business. And there's a difference between being honest and getting business, right? You could say all the things to get you business, but if you're being honest in the take on it, like, hey, this might not be good for you. Instead, a lot of agents are like, oh, you should buy here. It's amazing because all these great reasons, but they don't give you the con side of it. Then did you really build trust? Right. You just sold something. And so when you're able to build trust, you grow an organic audience that then shares your content. So I get a lot of, when my clients come to me, and they're like, hey, I'm ready to work with you because you said this, this, and this. They'll cite videos from 3 years ago. Got it. Right. And so they've been along for the ride and they're ready to go. They want to work with our team. They want to work with my wife. They want to work with our buyers agents, showing agents. So it's a huge difference versus doing that. So in regards to the YouTube, let's say you're a new agent, you have no sphere of influence, which obviously in Austin, it seems like everyone's from somewhere else here. Right. What would you recommend if someone, would you recommend someone going the YouTube route right off the bat based on how long it would actually take to grow that audience? Yeah, I mean, I think the people that are doing it now have a much better path than what I had. Yeah. When I started doing the YouTube thing, no one was telling you how to do YouTube. No one had paid courses. Even the paid courses you have now, you can get all the same information for free. I don't understand why you'd pay for some of these paid courses. Right. In fact, one of the major paid courses out there literally copied my channel and has put out a paid course on it. Right. Like literally I've talked to this person and he has said, yes, I copied your channel, did everything, and now I'm doing a paid thing. No, that's crazy. Right. And it's totally fine. You know, hats off to him for doing it, because I wasn't the one that went out and did it.
Right.
I just didn't feel it. I felt it was kind of slimy,
No doubt.
to do that, because I was trying to grow. I was trying to help people buy and sell homes.
Right. So that's awesome. No, absolutely. Like pretty much all the information is out there on YouTube. Like my favorite subscription is YouTube Premium, and every day I'm learning. In regards to someone building out a course, have you ever done coaching yourself when it comes to real estate?
Like people have paid me for
No,
coaching.
as in you hired a coach.
Yeah, so I do the Tom Ferry coaching right now.
Awesome.
I've been in the ecosystem for a couple of years. I've been in and out. Beginning of my career, I got into it, kind of got back out, and then in the last 2 years, I've got in, and really what I enjoy out of it is just the opportunity to bounce ideas off somebody else, right? Like my coach doesn't really have a say in what I do in my business, but if I say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and they go, maybe you should try looking at it this way. Right. I'm still going to do it my way.
Got it.
And then go, okay, well, coach was right. Let me do their way now.
Got it.
Right. So it's a better way to do trial and error.
What's your goals in real estate? You've been doing this for 8 years now, right?
Yeah.
What's your 5 years? What's the plan? 10 years? What
I have 5 years, I won't be in real estate anymore. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
So my goal is to be done in 3 years.
Okay.
So I'm 41 now. My goal is to sell our business at 45.
Damn, you age well.
Yeah, thanks.
What's the main reason? Just you want to pretty much sell your clientele, customers, systems, and call it a night, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have plans after that. To be honest with you, everybody's like, "Oh, what's your grand plan?" Real estate's a grind, and you could do this business forever. There's just other things I want to do.
That's awesome.
Right? Like real estate's great. It's been a great journey. It's been a great opportunity. Yeah. It's given me the ability to take a lot of the skills that I've learned over life and implement them into a business. Yet there's a lot of other businesses that I'm looking at, right? So the good thing is I'm building this thing that I can sell and then turn around and then buy other businesses, or still be a part owner and see revenue out of it. Right. I mean, the greatest thing about being a brokerage like Real Brokers, I don't think I'll ever be fully out of real estate, because we've brought on, I have 2,300 agents in my downline.
Amazing.
That I collect on, where, of that, there's probably 4,500 total. So there's probably another 2,000 agents that I don't even see anything, because we've grown that fast.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy. You could probably retire just off that downline at this point.
Yes.
That's amazing. Good for you. In regards to the
that part of that's all through YouTube though. So this is the thing, like, if you think about it, like people that reach out to me are people that are like, hey, I really appreciate what you've done on YouTube. I'm thinking about changing brokerages. I want to align myself where somebody can help me with either YouTube or help me with coaching or be a mentor. And that's where I think, like, when you're at Real, depending on who you align with, like, you can get help. And so, and the greatest thing too is, like, we're not like some of those other brokerages, like you come into one line and that's it. Like you don't get any help. Like we're pretty open. I mean, we're all incentivized to help each other.
Right. So you're actually coaching and mentoring people how to do YouTube as they join your downline as well?
Yeah.
Awesome. Wicked. I'm just surprised with your schedule. You have that time. In regards to retiring and selling your clientele, I moved to Canada. I moved from Canada in October, and I have a bigger team now. And we just sold 4 houses this week. So it's all about systems, right? I have other businesses in real estate, and, luckily I've been blessed with really good business partners. So would you ever think about going down that route, or do you just kind of want to sell it, or do you want to just build out the systems, take the referral, and keep it moving?
I wouldn't say that's off the table. Okay. I don't want to be active in real estate by 45. I want to be fully out. Yeah.
Honestly, I get it. I've been doing it for 10 years, and my last couple of years when I had team members and not working with buyers, running around doing open houses was like the best feeling ever. I was kind of in my home office doing my thing, generating leads, passing it off, and I couldn't have been happier, right? Especially in Austin, where you're putting the miles in your car and your body here, right? Showing houses and such. But yeah, other than that, what do you not like about real estate right now?
I think there's always been this war against real estate agents, and let's be honest, not every real estate agent's great, right? Mm-hmm. And not every real estate agent's bad. Yeah. And so you have, you have a lot of really good agents, you have a lot of not good agents. what's tough is that the not good agents give everybody else a bad name.
Yeah.
Or what we see on social media is not reality for what happens. I mean, everybody sees Selling Sunset or whatever. In fact, I've never even watched the show.
Yeah, no, I don't think most realtors do, but that's funny.
Yeah. But you look at that $1 million listing and, they cut out a lot of the stuff. They show all the highlights of selling, all the highs. Sometimes they'll show the lows, but they don't show those guys hounding their team.
Right.
Like, how many calls have you made today? Have you made your calls? How many people are we getting to our open house? The absolute amount of hours that go into being a successful team or becoming a successful agent. There's a lot of agents that get into real estate and they think, okay, cool, I'm going to be selling $25 million my first year. And then they sell $2 million. They're almost broke. And on top of that, now they got to pay taxes they didn't pay because they didn't pay taxes because you get a $9,000 paycheck. That's paying for advertising. That's paying for your mortgage. That's paying for everything else. And then you don't even think, like most agents, like that's why most agents are out of the business after the first year is because now they owe 20 grand in taxes that they had to spend in their business.
Right. Absolutely. The reason, another thing is like every city you look at is, there's a lot of agents, right? A lot of part-time agents. I think Austin has 24,000 agents, correct?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's also the low barrier to entry. I paid $269 for the course with a Groupon coupon in December or whatever the case is. And in Canada, I pay like $4,000 or $5,000. In Toronto, I think it's like $8,000-9,000. So, but it's still relatively easy, right, to get in. And that's what the reason, there's an 80-20 rule, 20% control 80% of the market. In real estate, it's more like 90-10, right?
Yeah.
10% is kind of making all the money. But with that being said, there's always an opportunity to do really well if you have the grind and the hustle, of course, right? So, but no, everything. What's out of all the years you've had? What's been your best year door wise, or ends, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because every year is been my next best year. Yeah, so there hasn't been a year where we touched a number and then saw a huge reduction.
Cool.
And that's because obviously, look, I'm leveraging stuff I'm doing with my downline agents. I'm leveraging with the YouTube channel. So there's been a progression every single year. I might not sell as much like this year. I'm definitely not going to sell as much as I did last year, but overall income is still going to be higher than what we did, the previous year.
Do you dabble in other investments when it comes to infills or flips or anything else, rentals?
Yeah. So I do. So I own 4 properties currently. So I buy rental properties. I haven't really gotten into doing flips. I feel like I'm one of those people that goes to the casino and sits back and watch everybody else. Like I know what $500 is and what I can do with $500. And when I put $500 on a bet and that bet doesn't work out, I feel like crap. And I hate myself, the fact that I just gave away $500. So while everybody else is gambling on flips and gambling on some of this wholesale stuff, I don't like to have that same gamble. So I look at investment properties like 4plexes, 2plexes, 8plexes, stuff that I can actually look at the numbers and go, okay, this is going to be it. I have a big problem with doing flips where you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this place for 200. I'm going to put 100 into it and the house is going to be worth 500. I hope. Ooh, okay. I hear so many of these people like, okay, it's going to be worth 500. I'm like, well, based on what comps? Comps show 430, 425. Are you taking real estate commissions into that? Are you looking at the fact that that 100 grand is going to be 140 grand? Like that's, so when I hear people, I'm going to make 150 grand. I'm like, no, you're probably going to make 75.
Right.
And was that worth the time, energy, and effort when you could have put it into a passive property over time, gotten that same money out without the same headache?
Absolutely. I flipped houses in the past, and back in Canada, my profit margins were like 30K. Now I'm at the point, unless it's like, and that was high. Now it's like, unless it's 50, 70K and I could get in and out in 6 weeks, there's no point in me doing it. Right. But then there's also the margin of safety and with wholesaling as well, which is kind of cool. And here you could wholesale and be a realtor at the same time. No idea how you're able to do that, but in Canada we weren't able to. But
well, you have to, I mean, there's disclosures that are involved.
Okay.
You have to disclose that you're an agent. You have to, I mean, if you don't disclose you're an agent, like it's an immediate lawsuit.
Got
You're
it.
going to be in a lot of trouble.
Got it.
So there's a lot of disclosures.
Got it. Good to know.
Yeah.
Before I start dabbling into that. But also I've noticed that in Austin, which have issues in other cities and countries as well, the permit process is a little bit long here when you are trying to flip. So you got to keep it cosmetics only, and then building as well.
Yeah. I mean, when you move to a city that has a lot of red tape, it becomes a lot harder. Why do you think people like Chip and Joanna Gaines are so successful in a city that doesn't have a ton of red tape like Waco? They come and do that in Austin. How many, I think there's one show people tell me about Austin. I think it's just a YouTube channel that does flipping. It is hard to have a lot of, I mean, look, it's possible. I've seen people have a lot of success flipping homes, but your costs get eaten up by property taxes. They get eaten up by everything else. So is it always worth it? No. I mean, I would probably rather flip in New Braunfels, San Antonio, because at least I know my costs are going to be a little bit cheaper. Austin's, the cost for labor is so high. The cost for, investing is so high, especially now with interest rates. If you're trying to do hard money lenders are 9%. They're going to want 9-10% on their money. So, but that's not to say everybody else is I made $150,000 on a flip. Yeah, you can. Sure. 100%. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not that big of a risk taker. I'm more of one of those people that sees a long-term benefit. Prime example, making the move to Real Broker. So I was number 550 at EXP. There's 80 something thousand agents. I was number 550 at the company. At Real Broker, I was number 997. I remember that's my favorite Porsche. Okay. So I was number 997. And why is that important? We're at almost 12,000 agents now. I saw what we had done at EXP early because I was there early, and I saw what Real wanted to do and how they wanted to do it. And I said, holy crap, they are going to be way more successful in EXP. Now everybody's going to say, oh, EXP is so great. I guarantee you, give it 2 more years, Real's going to be really picking off a lot of those big producers at EXP.
I think it already is. And don't get me wrong, EXP is a great company as well.
Great company.
I almost signed up with them. Yeah. I found Real a little bit more lucrative. And then it got me to join with the guys like you, guys up in Winnipeg, Addison and Jesse, who are my boys, who just the vibe and the culture is just a lot different, right? It's actually a lot different than the other brokerage I've been with too. Everyone's kind of trying to help each other out. Yeah. Especially a guy like me who's always doing some other shit. Let's try build, let's try flip, let's try this. So it's the opportunities are there, right? In regards to investing in Austin and other areas, which area right now, you mentioned San Antonio, but what other areas would you recommend, when it comes to growth and people moving to right now would be a good place to invest?
I think the biggest opportunity areas right now are going to be Dripping Springs, Bastrop, and New Braunfels, all outside. I think you've kind of if you look at Georgetown, Liberty Hill, Leander, they've hit a plateau where I don't think New Braunfels is going to see that plateau for a while because the median is so much lower than Georgetown, so much lower than Liberty Hill, and it's got infrastructure. Got it. And Dripping Springs, I think, is really insulated because you don't have a ton of multifamily in Dripping Springs. Same thing as Bastrop. And a lot of people like Bastrop because of the proximity to Tesla. And the Boring Company is doing stuff out there. There's so much happening in Bastrop. The challenge with Bastrop and Dripping Springs is their city councils don't embrace the growth like a city like maybe Kyle. Kyle is all in on the growth. Buda right next to it isn't into the same growth. And so Kyle's pushing. They have a pretty, I don't mean this politically, but they have a very progressive mayor who's seeing the trends and going, hey, we can really grow this city. I want to be a part of growing this city. New Braunfels is very, very isolated in itself, but they're embracing growth. They're like, hey, we're on the I-35. We're one of the major corridors. Let's grow. And so I think if I'm going to bet my money in most places, it's New Braunfels.
Interesting. Awesome.
Yeah. And I personally put my money there.
Got it. Good to know. Are you dealing with a lot of investor clients right now?
Yeah, we do. I mean, so while I'm here saying things about flips, like I have a lot of clients that are looking at commercial properties, long-term holds, because they can depreciate those assets. They're looking at, 8-plexes, 10-plexes, stuff like that. I have a lot of clients that are looking for duplexes. They want a house hack, right? So they're technically an investor at that because they're going to come live in one side and then rent out the other 3, stuff like that.
Can you explain the 1031 exchange? Because it's something that we never had in Canada.
Yeah, sure. So in fact, I can tell you this because I literally just did one. So let's say I'll give you my example. So I had a property on the beach that we paid under 200 for, sold it for well over 350 2 years later. So I've been ahead of the curve on a lot of places.
That's amazing.
So we bought this property, we rented it out to Airbnb. It was great for 2 years. It just became a headache. And we wanted something that was closer, that we could manage a little bit easier. So what we did is we sold that property. We did it doing a 1031 exchange. You have somebody that comes in that kind of just is the person that holds the money. So, whatever proceeds were held there. So a prime example in mine, 350, no matter how much I had left on the loan, if I don't buy another property that's equal to 350, even though I had a loan on it, then I will potentially see that taxed. So it's a good way to shelter and not pay taxes. So basically what I did is took that money, rolled it into another property around the 350 price point
right
here in the Austin area, one that's close by, one that I can manage, and it's easier, and I'm not paying taxes on it. Now, when I go to sell that property, so let's say I take that property, we sell that 5 years from now for $600,000. Right. I'm not paying taxes on that as long as I 1031. So at some point, yes, I will pay taxes on it.
So once you sell that property, you take the 350 and you have to invest in another, or the full gain. Full gain. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Now, what if I just did that through like a holding company or a corporation, LLC?
All of my stuff's through LLCs.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Similar thing.
Yeah.
Just when you cash out, you get taxed on it.
Yeah, the LLC is taxed.
Yeah, got it. Cool. Just want to make sure. Interesting. What else? Just spitting all kinds of shit at you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good.
What else?
What are you trying to do in Austin? I mean, you've been here a month. Like,
I've been here since October 2nd, and then just got the green card last week or 2 weeks ago. Now it's just finishing the courses. Obviously start with real estate, but I'm actually want to kind of get into development, something small, maybe a couple of infills or an ADU or something at first. Do you have experience in ADUs at all?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And then I would probably from there, my dream is build a 400 unit apartment through syndication or whatever. That's kind of what my goal is, right? But I'm looking at different markets. I was just in Houston and that whole Sugar Land, Richmond, Katy area, Cypress, looks like a lot of opportunity. Thing with Texas is you have a shit ton of land. In Canada, everyone's fighting for every little piece of land you get, right? So here I come here and I see like just builds going up every second, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's in Pflugerville or Cedar Park, wherever. And it kind of amazes me that you could just go buy land and start doing shit.
Yeah.
It's not like that up in Canada where everyone's kind of, everyone's living in certain areas, the main cities, and everyone's just literally you put a piece of land there, it's selling with 50 offers, right? Offer dates, is that something here? Is that still occurring in this market?
No, I mean, it is, but not at the same rate. I mean, during late 2020, most of 2021, and half of 2022, what we would see is like if I listed a property on Thursday, I'm putting highest and best by Monday at noon, like pretty much in the listing notes.
Right.
And so we'd be, I mean, the highest offer I had, or not highest offer, but amount of offers was probably like 27 offers.
Okay.
And so, and it's a pain, and I don't like to do that because now you got to go through 27 offers. You got to answer. It's not 27 agents you got to answer to. You're answering to probably 100 agents, right? Because they all want, all the info, and they got to decide whether they're going to write an offer for their client. So you're responding to 100. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm burnt out, but if anything was burning me out, it was definitely having to go through that every listing.
Was that just because you price low, or was the market just silly hot then?
I mean, it was just silly hot.
Which where was it? Where was the house? Which area?
That was in Circle C, so Southwest. Yeah.
Crazy.
But I mean, there wasn't a house that I put on. I mean, here's the thing. If you overpriced a home, it was going to sit. It's the same thing in any market. Like, here's a prime example. So if the value of a house was 500, right? And you said, well, I want 600 for this house because the market's crazy, and you price it at 600, well, that baby's going to sit there.
Yeah.
But if you priced it at 495, you're going to get $100,000 over list price because you were going to have like 8 people bidding on it, and bidding just stupid, crazy money to buy a house because there was nothing available. Now our market's changed dramatically. I mean, I remember last year on Real Migos, which is a podcast I do with Ian, we were looking at the numbers going, how the hell is there only in our MLS, like our actual MLS, 5 county MLS, how is there only 1,000 homes on the market? This is in like January, February.
Right. And
now and we ended that year around this same time last year. It went from 1,000 to 1,200 all the way up to about 9,500 homes. We're probably right there right now, maybe a little bit more, like 9,800 homes. So we've just had so much inventory this year is why we're not seeing as many of those multiple offers. But that's, I had 3 properties already at the beginning of this year that saw multiple offer.
Got it. So, are you noticing a lot of people selling and moving out of the city, or are they just upgrading or downsizing, or what are you seeing mostly?
Here's a crazy stat about Austin. Almost 60% of the homes in the market are vacant.
They all owned by Californians then, I'm assuming?
No. If you think about it, 33% of the properties in the market are new construction. Right. So obviously those are going to be vacant. So if you take 30% out and you have 60%, almost like more than half of those are vacant.
Crazy. Interesting.
Right, 70%. So
rental market is still hot though. Like me and my wife, we're looking at houses and there's 50 people and like I looked at one in Pflugerville the other day. There's 50 people in through the doors, right?
Right.
So,
and what was the price range on that?
It's 2,400.
2,400, right? You start stepping above 2,500 and it slows down drastically.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Are you seeing a lot of people leaving Austin because of the affordability?
I see a lot of people complaining about the affordability. So on my YouTube channel, I see all the comments, read all the comments, and there's a lot. And it's a lot of, Austin's such a terrible place. I'd never go there. Oh, it's so awful. It's like people, especially on social media, they just want to be angry.
Yeah. I get that.
I have quite a few clients that move from here and they head to Houston. So I've had a lot of people do that because here was a prime example. If you put a home under contract in like 2020, early 2021, and it finally got built beginning of 2022, well, at that point, you had gained, $150,000, $200,000 in equity just in that 1 year time frame. So I had clients that would buy, close, 3 months later, put it on the market, make $200,000, and go to Houston.
Right.
Like I had like buyer after buyer after buyer, bought new construction to that.
Got it. Interesting. Which is a lot cheaper houses. You get more. You can definitely get more houses.
But you live in Houston.
Yeah. Austin's still gorgeous.
Yeah.
I've been everywhere now in Texas, and I love Austin. The hills.
For sure.
That Leander area is probably where I want to end up for sure.
It's a great spot, especially Crystal Falls. When you're out there kind of heading towards Treviso. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, Treviso. I took my wife there the other day, and she's like, I didn't even know this place existed.
Yeah.
What area besides Dripping Springs and you mentioned Bastrop and a few others with what's happening with San Antonio and the proximity to Austin, do you see the areas in between kind of building up now?
Well, this is not a secret that from Austin to San Antonio we call it the I-35 corridor. Right. It's the fastest growing metroplex in the entire world.
Got it. Oh, wow. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So that is where all the movement's happening. So New Braunfels, Seguin, Schertz, all of that area is just seeing a massive influx of people because, let's be honest, the median price in Austin's $550 right now. The suburbs is $475, right? And if you look at what $475 actually gets you, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's really not. And so if I go, okay, well, I can buy in Seguin, I can buy a 1,400 square foot house in Seguin for $275. That's a better deal for me because it's affordable. But on the flip side, if you're going, hey, I want to buy, 1.4 million, where am I going to get 1.4 million? That's a good looking house. You're looking Dripping Springs, you're looking West, you're looking Leander,
Right.
you're looking maybe Georgetown,
Right.
maybe not, maybe the west side of Georgetown, Liberty Hill, because you can get your money goes pretty far as far as buying a $1.4 million home in Liberty Hill.
Right.
It's a drive, but you're getting a pretty cool spot.
Right. Interesting. In regards to the builds, there's a lot of new home builders here.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be straight with you, compared to the quality of Canada, like the quality is not there compared to what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like this with all the builders, or is it like a price point?
It's funny. It's funny you say that because this is on my YouTube channel, so I talk about in a lot of detail. Let me ask you this question before I answer. What is it about the quality that you think is subpar compared to Canadians?
Well, I've built houses before, so just basics, just small stuff from flooring to baseboards to paint to drywall for sure. Plumbing issues, just basic minor stuff that like attention to detail. I've seen just door hinges, man, painted on top, right?
Yeah.
Just dumb shit that I'm like, man, this company would go bankrupt if it was in Canada.
Yeah.
Or the workers would be fired.
Yeah.
And it seems like, I guess while everyone was moving to Austin, these builders just had to put these things up, sell them and move on, right? And it got to me wondering, we have warranties. I get the contracts are in favor of the builders, like I understand that, but you can't kind of put out this type of product at times in Canada and get away with it. That's all.
Well, when you have a city that's moving as fast as Austin, these builders can get away with it.
Okay.
Now, I wouldn't say every builder is purposely doing that.
Yeah.
I won't say that. There are a lot of really, really good reputable builders. Highland Homes, Drees, Scott Felder. There's I had a lot of at the beginning of the pandemic. I had a lot of praise for Perry Homes.
Right.
I don't have as much anymore, just because some of those quality issues. But to build an affordable home, right? So if you're talking affordability, we're talking the median's $475. To build an affordable home in Austin, if you compare 2022 to 2023, 2022 under 550 was only like 30% of the actual sales, where this year it's almost 50% of the sales under 550. So what happens is you have all these builders are trying to make a product under 550 that the buyer will buy. They have to do it fast because there's so much demand in that market that they have, especially during the pandemic, there was a ton of like really bad, prime example. If you had a plumbing company and you had to hire workers and you were paying them $15 an hour, well, they would come to work with you and go, oh, this plumber over there is going to pay me $16 an hour. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So they go get $16 an hour. And there was such a high demand, I'll go over here and get $17 an hour. So what's happening is all of the trades from every level of trade was seeing this happen. So all of these trades were trying to move to the cream of the crop, the best, but they weren't really like, they weren't really the best at their craft. They were just trying to get an extra buck, which is fair, right? But all of these trades were taking so much longer to build product that when they get people on, they were just trying to build as fast as possible and be done so the builder had something to sell.
Right.
And the builder's going, yeah, this looks like crap, but I need something to sell.
Right.
So, and I wouldn't say every builder, it didn't pass, but like the little things like hinges, you'd see these, like I would walk with a lot of these reps and the construction manager. And I remember one time building with Lennar, and I'll say the name. My clients were crying going to closing.
Right.
Because all of those little things that you were talking about were still not done. No. They were not happy. And I'm sitting here trying to do everything I can to make them happy. And even the builder rep was doing everything, not the rep, the construction manager was doing everything. He's like, look, I'm trying, like I'm doing this and this. And you could tell he wasn't trying to be a jerk or he wasn't purposely, but he was like, I can't get this person in. I can't get that person in. When I schedule them, they go off and get hired somewhere else. So that's why you see a lot of the construction issues from probably like 2021 build, 2022 build into 2020. I think it's getting better.
Got it. Good.
I think it's getting a lot better.
Interesting. In regards to like construction, which industry or which job has a high demand right now? Do you see roofers, plumbers, or everything?
All of them.
Everything.
All those trades. Yeah. All those trades are in high demand. Plumbers, so plumbers and electricians, you have to be licensed.
Yep.
So huge demand for that. I mean, if you're, that's things other. I think I would get licensed and have an electrician company. Yeah. I would get licensed and have a plumbing company.
Right.
All of those things are in high demand. Now, the things that you don't have to be licensed, they're probably not as in demand.
Got it. Interesting. Good to know.
HVAC companies,
right.
Holy smokes.
Make a lot of money too.
I mean, yeah.
Even the roofing companies here, you guys have insurance, hail covering these roofs. And I'm like, these guys are making hands over feet.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, it always reminds me, like the big common joke was like seeing the Indian guy meme with all the gold chains and the fingers, like plumbers in 2021. Right? Yeah, it was funny. Like
it's just funny because I come from Canada and you have all these like fucking Instagram accounts showing like houses, buy this dream house for $300,000 when it's like 5 hours, 6 hours away from Austin, right? Because people don't realize how big Texas is, especially up there. And then I come here, I'm like, damn, everything's actually expensive here, right? When it comes to plumbing, when it comes to electrical, and I rented a house, but I brought trades in just to get an idea. Hey, how much does it cost? I want hardwoods here. How much does it cost to, redo this kitchen, granite, quartz, whatever, backsplash, minor stuff. Okay, roof, just getting an idea. And I looked at the prices. I'm like, it's double, triple what I was paying in Canada. Yeah. And and then I go to Home Depot, I'm looking at the prices. I'm like, it's the same price, except in American, right?
Yeah. So people want to hear what they want to hear. Yeah. They don't like it when you're being contrary. And so that's partly why my channel could be so much better if I just start saying all the nice things and stop telling people what the reality is. Because people want to live in a bubble. Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to think that the housing market's crashing. Yeah. When I tell them, well, the market's not really crashing. Here's like 7 reasons why it's not necessarily crashing. You're seeing adjustments here and here and here and here. I don't want to hear that, right? When I tell them like Austin is not cheap, and I have buyers call me and they're like, well, I want to buy a home for $350 in this area. I'm like, okay, do me a favor, put the crack pipe down.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that is just not going to happen. Yeah. No. I want to buy $350 in Northwest Hills. Yeah. I want a genie in a lamp, but that just doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I get that. And when people understand the market is it's this whole thing was very visible to the eye. And I remember saying it back in Canada, and realtors were like, no, we have a lot of immigrants coming. Housing prices will stay the same. I'm like, no, it does. When you raise rates, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. Like when things go up that high, stock market, crypto, real estate, it's going to come down. It was really, the writing was on the wall, but people obviously didn't believe it. And people that bought houses the past 2 years at a very high price are now eating it, right? If they have to move, they're kind of screwed. But
well, it depends. I mean, if you bought a house I bought a house at the peak of 2022. Okay. So I bought our new property that we live in now at the peak of 2022. I knew prices were going to drop. I was like, I know prices are coming down, but I don't know when I'm going to find another home that fits all of these things.
Everything you want.
So I know that I'm going to see a reduction in my price. Now, the other day I looked up and one of these stats came out. My zip code's down 40%. 40%. Did I lose 40% value in my home? So I started looking at the comps. I started looking at the numbers. No, I actually have lost 0. Right. So if I wanted to sell my home right now, I'm probably going to be out 7%.
Got it.
Not
bad.
Right.
Yeah. That's if you are selling your home, but how many people are selling their home that quick?
Right. But I also got a 4% interest rate on $1 million home. My mortgage is $150,000.
That's awesome.
So does that reduction in 1 year bother me? No, not at all. In fact, I'm fine with that. I'm going to try to use it to get my property taxes down. Right. But next year, when prices are flat, I'll be good. Mm-hmm. And the year after that, when they're flat, I'll be good. And the year after that, when they go up and then they go up and they go up, I don't plan on selling my home for 10 years. I plan on holding it for 10 years. Right. So the value of my home will go up over 10 years. And I think this is where you have a lot of those crash people that are saying all the word crash, crash, crash. They don't understand because they don't own homes. They actually don't own. They've never owned real estate. And here's a really, really good point is somebody wrote this. I had an interview with a developer on my channel, and somebody wrote this. He said, yeah, the market's not going to increase for 2 more years. We'll see like instability in Austin for 2 more years, and then you'll see it go back up. And 2 years, you guys are crazy. Okay. I bought properties in 2017, 18, 19.
Right.
Those 3 properties made me a millionaire. Those 3 properties made me a millionaire by 2022.
Right.
So if you can invest, and I'm talking about like just the money I invested. I'm not talking about like I put $300,000 down. I put $100,000 here, $100,000 here. $300,000 investment made me $1 million.
Right.
I haven't cashed out on that, obviously, but here's what they missed. In the next 2 years, if you're buying and investing, you're buying these properties and the market starts to go up in 2 years, guess what you have? Equity. Everybody wished in 2022, everybody wished they bought a home in 2019.
Just like 2008.
So while people are laughing like, oh, the market's down, ha, 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 ha. Bro, you're about to miss out again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That goes with everything. Even the stock market, I started hammering down when people weren't buying, right? But in regards to Texas, seller financing and something called sub 2. Are you familiar with both of them?
Yes.
Is it common? Does it happen often? And what are the benefits in
seller financing is unique because here, I mean, you know, you as a seller create whatever that is. So I've had clients that have done the seller financing and then that person had to foreclose and it became such a big headache later.
Yeah.
I've had people that have done the thing where they go, okay, we'll give you, 5% for a year. Then after a year, a balloon payment and you owe me this.
Right.
Well, if you think about it, if you sold a home to somebody in 2020 as seller financing for $500,000, now that property is worth $800,000, you're not getting the difference.
Yeah.
Like and let's say they had like a 2-year note on that, you're not getting the difference. You're getting the 500.
Yeah.
So is it worth it? It can be. If the value of the home goes down dramatically, sure. But then you're also going to be put in a situation where potentially you got to foreclose on that person, then you got to sell it again at a lower price. So there's a problem there. The sub 2, you run into the same issues kind of because, on just the financing part of it, but I see them happen. It's not that I don't see them happen. The sub 2, I would say, is probably a better scenario than seller financing.
Good to know. Something that we definitely don't have in Canada. Usually we see seller financing mostly with commercial properties, of course.
So sub 2 would be, just if people aren't familiar with that, is like you have a 3.2% interest rate on your property and you bought it for $400, but now I want to buy it for $600. Right. So I could take up that mortgage, but then I got
the mortgage.
Yeah, I can assume the mortgage, but I got to pay you $200,000 for the difference.
Right.
Right. So I got to go either then finance that at 6% or 7% where we're at, or I have to potentially just bring you the cash.
Got it.
And so that's where seller financing, people want 40% up front.
So something in Canada that America has that Canada doesn't. We have 5-year fixed rates up there. So you guys, like for the people that got those 2% rates, 2.3% rates, they're stuck in it for 30 years if they want to be, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that there. So all these people in Canada, especially Toronto, Vancouver, with the big markets that got at 2.6%, have to wake up in 5 years at a 6%, right? And that's where it's going to crush them. And it's just kind of interesting how I didn't know that till I came to the States. And I was like, what? You could get stuck in this rate for 30 years? Damn, I would have bought up everything. So I guess at times people don't want to sell because of the rate, right?
Right. And that's what we're running into. In fact, I put out a reel that should come out today. And it's basically kind of giving pushback to the people that keep saying the market's going to crash because they don't understand. It's one thing to look at numbers and say, here's numbers, so this means it's going to crash. But it's another thing to look at the numbers and look at what the numbers actually mean. Right. And so if you look at the numbers right now, everybody's going, oh, well, the market's dropped 20%. Well, has it? Has home values actually dropped 20%? Well, let's look at it. You got to look at the specific zip code, the area, because like my zip code, like I would have thought I'd drop 40% in my value. The reason why those numbers are skewed is because last year at this time, we had 20 homes sell over $1 million. We had like 10 homes sell between 550 and $1 million, and only 10 homes sell below 500. Well, this year we had almost 20 homes sell under 600, and only 2 homes over $1 million. So that's going to skew the number dramatically.
Absolutely.
So did those people in the 800s, 900s lose value? Right. No, not necessarily, because if one of those homes, is it harder for them to sell now? Yes. Are they going to probably have to be strategic about their price? Yes.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean they lost value.
Absolutely. It's same thing up in Canada. The numbers are actually not there. But in regards to the housing market coming down, I've been really vocal about commercial real estate, especially offices right now, and then the ripple effect that might have on residential homes. What do you see in the commercial sector right now?
I mean, I'm looking at buying buildings, so I'm actively looking for commercial space for myself. My ideal commercial space would be a building that has a second story that has offices, and downstairs has like coffee shop.
Got it.
A restaurant or something like that. Okay. That way I can rent off the one half of the building as far as the offices, rent off my section and bring agents in, have a studio like this, and then have rental income from the businesses downstairs.
Got it. But when it comes to office specifically, do you think people are going to be going back to office for work?
Yeah. I mean, if a lot of these companies are stuck holding the bag on these properties, they're going to have to force people back to work. I know people don't want to go back to work. They want to do a hybrid model. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these hybrids. Okay, you're in the office for 3 days, you're at home for 2.
I just don't see it myself. I feel like now, especially in Austin, where it's a tech city, right? Obviously, I feel like once you work at whether it's IBM or Apple or Microsoft, wherever, you'll always have that option where it's like, well, if you're not going to let me work from home, I'll go to the other competition because they're going to hire me.
But that competition's drying up. I mean, if you think about it, you have Meta's laying people off. Accenture's laid off a ton of people. Right. So you have a lot of people that are getting laid off from these positions that now actually have to find and go back to work.
Got it.
So,
interesting.
So I think with all the layoffs that you're seeing is they're cutting the fat from a lot of those people that maybe were just a pain in the ass that didn't want to come work in the office.
So what I see actually, I'm glad we're on different sides of this, because what I see actually is these companies saying, well, fuck that expensive lease. I don't need to pay for this. Why don't I just get talent from all over the world? They work from home. They're getting the work done, and saying like, I don't want to, I don't need this space, which Meta did and other companies did. So that's kind of like where I see happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Or they had this, they have 100,000 square feet of space. Like, hey, we don't need that. We only need 25,000 or 30,000, 40,000, where they're cutting their space. Yeah. But the idea here, the issue that I have is when these property owners, landlords are going up for refinance, when, especially in Canada, where they're, hey, guess what? It's time to, it's your 5-year term's up. They literally, you're not going to catch the cap rate anymore. What's going to happen with that building? What's going to happen to the value? And we see in San Francisco, which San Francisco obviously has its own issues, but we're seeing across the board too, right? With the high rates.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all going to be relative to what market you're in. Yeah. I think if you're looking at Austin is definitely vulnerable in the commercial space. I think what you'll see is a hybrid of both of what we're saying, right? I think you'll see kind of a medium of what we're seeing. You'll see a lot of these companies that need people in office. They're going to keep leasing. Maybe they get they negotiate new terms on their office space. Maybe they go sublease from Meta for a lot less, and they bring their people into office there. And then you're going to see businesses that need to cut the fat. Because you think about it, if you let go of people, you let go of your space, guess what happens to your income? It goes up. So if you look at a lot of these stocks, like Tesla's up. I bought stock in Tesla at $124 a share.
That's awesome.
Right?
I was shorting it at that time. I was very wrong on it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so now it's what, 230, something like that, right? But if you look at like the big 5, Amazon's cut some of their staff. They've cut some of the buildings they were going to build. I think it's going to be I wouldn't say happy medium, but I think it's going to be a medium between both of what we're saying.
Got it.
Like I don't think we're both right. I don't think we're both wrong.
Yeah. We'll see. It's interesting. Office space. Very, very vocal about commercial real
That
estate.
was a very Canadian response to me, by the way.
Well,
It was
how so?
instead of like, no, I'm right, you're wrong.
No.
Very American would have
No.
been me to argue. Right?
Canadian response. No, I never say anything's wrong. Like it's just I like debating different things, hearing both sides of the story. Right. At the end of the day, no one's right. And if I was able to pick, like I had 5 trigger rates on my mortgages where, I thought the rates were going to go down fourth quarter. Right. So I'm like, and I got pinned on those. Right. So even now it's a scary time, even up in Canada where the property taxes are quite high from where I'm from, buying property, and which I still am. I got 5-6 closing in the next 5 weeks. And it's like, do I sell this? Do I do a short term? Do I do a long term? How much do I have to eat this per month? And when you have multiple properties, trust me, cash flow is everything. And I'm starting to feel it now. Right. So but then once again, you're right. If you have money on the side, this is the time to play. Right? So. Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, what's his name? Robert Kiyosaki, the rich dad.
Yeah.
I mean, back in 2020, he's telling everybody to put their money in cash.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's right. I mean, that's a lot of the stuff that we've done. We're taking money out of our stocks and putting it into cash temporarily, because I'm looking at how many properties I'm going to be able to buy the last half of 2023, the early half of 2024. And I'm going, okay, I can pick up 6 to 10 properties.
Right. Well, I still see the rates going up a little bit. I think it's going to start cooling down. Personally, I think by the end of 2024, it should probably come down a bit. Inflation, I think, was at, what is it?
4%.
4%, right? Yeah. So it is starting to come down. So we'll see what happens. But I think those 2% rate days are over, though, for sure.
Yeah, no. I mean, we'll probably get rates back in the mid 5s. We'll probably get rates maybe high 4s, depending on your buy down. But I don't see... For a long time, I don't see anything touching 3.
Yeah. No, not for a very, very long time. At the end of the day, you have to run an economy with rates, right? At the end of the day, it can't be what they did in 2008, 2009, which obviously affected the global scale of things.
They can cut taxes.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Coming from Canada, I can't complain, to be honest. Taxes there it's funny because I tell people all the time, like, what's the biggest difference between Canada and US? I say Canada's like college and America's like pros. You got socialism versus capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. You guys are very small business friendly and business friendly. It's just a lot different compared to
I think the small business owner is getting crushed right now.
Right now? Yeah. How so? In what way?
Well, I mean, they're getting crushed by a few different things. I mean, what you can deduct as a business owner has changed. So you're not going to have the same tax ability. During the pandemic, I mean, a lot of businesses were forced to shut down.
Right.
So now they're not fully back. They're getting crushed because they can't get affordable employees. And I know, why would you say affordable employees? Like, you can't, like, here's the thing. People have never owned a business, never understand what it's like to actually try to make a profit. And profit's not a bad thing. Profit's what keeps the lights on. Profit's what keeps you going. Now, if you're being excessively greedy, that's different. But to keep the lights on, in order to grow, to buy, to change your menu, in order to buy and move, you have to have profit.
Right. You're saying big corps coming in and taking out small business, which I could see with the gas stations and the chain of restaurants there coming from Canada. I'm like, oh, it looks like a local restaurant. And you Google it's a national chain, or you see it on your DoorDash national. I could see that happening right now too. But right now, like I said, with the opportunities that I see is mostly the businesses I built in Canada mostly revolves around trade as well. So that's where I see the opportunity here too. And hopefully as I get into real estate, I'm able to transfer and pivot into some other businesses involving trade. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. But thanks for the time, and that was fun, man.